The Carnival came in version 2.0, and Roccia is the incarnation of that festive energy. The enigmatic presence of this Havoc resonator is emanating a dangerous aura from her magic box, and she keeps popping out to surprise us with her crazy damage as a sub DPS. Roccia will be the premier Havoc support for version 2.0, and she will not disappoint. You have to be careful to play her right out of the box. She will easily be able to hide her true potential, and once you unbox her potential, she will be an Amazon package. Oh, what the hell, wrong box, guys. As someone who likes the dark and mysterious, Roccia is just that. My name is Enigma, and I'll be unboxing her stellar kit, echoes, and weapon options, and packaging her best teams. And trust me, these box puns will not stop. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and let's get right into it. Roccia is a sub DPS Havoc character, and she can easily be turned into a DPS thanks to her crazy quick damage. Let's just start off with her outro, however, which is a 20% amplification to Havoc damage and a 25% amplification to basic attack damage to boot. Almost like she was made to buff one specific character. Now, instead of explaining each part of her kit verbatim, I'll explain the parts that actually matter: her forte and her resonance skill. Her resonance skill is crazy, and it makes you wonder why she isn't a plunging aerial character instead. Wait, Xiao, is that you? Firstly, her resonance skill will unleash a tornado that will swoop up nearby enemies, and this is excellent for grouping. It can be really vital to allow all fodder to be killed with the follow-up. What is that follow-up? Well, straight out of the box comes the follow-up attack, and it is these plunges. She gets 3 of them, and it allows for 1 massive plunge each, of course, with a big range. What you actually want to do is hold down the normal attack so she can actually keep plunging. That's pretty much all to her kit. She does have basic attacks, but don't overuse them. You'll just use it to build a little bit of energy to actually get her forte off if you want to get all 3 hits. There's of course nothing else special about her kit. I mean, we'll probably just have another damaging liberation. Holy shit, this liberation is amazing. It's more than just damage. With a slew of supporting characters having liberations being just damage, Roccia, on the other hand, comes in with a prime delivery of some massive benefits. When she uses her liberation, she'll be offering a crazy attack buff. This gets better for every percent of crit rate that's over 50% for Roccia, capping out at 200 points, meaning that everyone on her team can get a 20% attack buff for 30 seconds if she has 70% crit rate. Crazy utility with just her liberation. That, alongside her outro for massively buffing supporting characters, and the attack buff, the Havoc buff, the basic attack buff, and her Concerto gauge, which charges insanely fast by the way, wrapped into an amazing package for supporting prowess. Yeah, she has some crazy utility. And we didn't even talk about one of the best parts of her kit. When she uses her outro skill, the next incoming character has their toolbar changed to a magic box, which allows for a miniature version of her resonance skill to pull in enemies for more crowd control. Really neat effect here. So when you're on the field with her, what you'll want to do is actually activate her resonance liberation, which will give everyone an attack buff for 30 seconds. Then you'll definitely make sure that her forte is filled enough, and then use her resonance skill to complete filling her forte. You'll follow up with 3 plunges, and then you'll swap out of her and get an attack from her outro skill, which will actually be the addition of the new Echo set, which we'll talk about right now. Roccia has a few echo options available to her, but her main set is definitely going to be the Midnight Veil set. Not only does his echo set let you get off a massive Havoc damage outro, it buffs the incoming Havoc damage dealer by 15%. You have options for the 4-cost piece, but the requirement for these echoes is to get 70% crit rate on your Roccia so you can make the best out of her liberation team-wide buff. Go with a crit rate for the main echo unless you actually manage to get her signature weapon or get enough crit rate through other means. Shorekeeper also gives crit rate, so keep that in mind. In this case, go for crit damage if you manage to get 70% crit rate from her other substats. Now, as for which set to actually go for, or which echo to go for, you have 2 options. The one that synergizes better with their supportive kit is the Nightmare Imperial Aaron. This will buff not only your Havoc damage, but your heavy attack damage, which is what she actually specializes in with her enhanced forte skill. All of the new echoes also buff these characters passively, so that heavy attack damage buff along with the Havoc buff is active at all times. With that being said, maybe you want Shorekeeper's mommy equipped instead, and in that case, you could definitely use Lorelei, but she'll be buffing basic attack damage instead, so just keep that in mind, and she won't be getting the heavy attack buff. If you're using her for her main DPS role, then this will work out, but just know that she thrives off of her heavy attacks, not the basic attack. As far as the rest of her gear packed into her box, always go with the 2 Havoc damage 3 cost pieces and use attack percent if you're missing the Havoc pieces. And for the 1 cost pieces, definitely go with attack percent. The substat priority is energy recharge, attack percent, flat attack, heavy attack bonus, and then minor buffs you want, but they're kinda useful, is the resonant skill buff, resonant liberation buff, and basic attack damage buff. Everything else is kinda like, useless. Now let's talk about her set options. The Midnight Veil is going to be her main one if you're actually using her to buff the incoming Havoc users. This is perfect when you use her with Havoc Rover, Dungeon, and especially Camellya, but if you're not using her in one of those teams, then a better option might be the Moonlit set. She can also be used as a main carry with the Havoc damage dealing buff, Havoc Eclipse, if you plan on buffing her to the moon, but to be the main damage dealer, of course. And if you plan on using her in a quick swap heavy team, this might also be the set that you want to use. Besides those 3 sets, just strive for 70% crit rate, and you're good to go. As far as weapon options, I bet a ton of you thought she was a Rectifier user. Well, you're wrong. She's actually a Gauntlet user. Surprising, right? So her signature gauntlet is of course her best option. It has crazy utility of, well, crit rate main stat. Definitely her best in slot, and it gives a ton of heavy attack damage to make her do so much more damage when she actually does hit the field. But you can also go with the standard 5-star gauntlets. Abyss Surges is amazing on her. It gives her some energy recharge to help refill her liberation, which is definitely always a viable option for Roccia. As for the 4 stars, they're all kinda meh. She can make use of the Celestial Spiral, and she'll also be able to use the Battle Pass weapon pretty decently, but it really just buffs her liberation damage, and that's just a small portion of her kit. The other gauntlets really just aren't even worth using, so I would definitely just use whatever you have, and I would recommend that you pull the 5-star gauntlet when you get a chance, or, go for a signature. I would recommend getting her signature because it is a big damage boost to her damage, but don't prioritize it because she will mainly be in there for quick swaps with Concerto gain and sub DPS damage. She's not someone like Yinlin who actually needs to be on field to do her damage. She's more like a Sanhua who gets in and out of the box. She can, of course, play more like Yinlin, but her Concerto gain is absolutely bonkers when you play her correctly. And the crazy thing is, Camellya is not her only team. Before I tell you the other teams, let's talk about Camellya. Camellya works perfectly with Sanhua already, but Roccia takes her to another level. It is a massive increase to the Camellya team by having Roccia to build Concerto and outro into Camellya, and she's just as easy to actually outro out of as Sanhua, as she gives her enhanced damage at the same time. Yeah, it's a good time for our resident Psycho Camellya. Like she always says, more power. It goes without saying that Roccia and Camellya go hand in hand, especially with that outro buff, so if you're a diehard Camellya fan, then go get Roccia to make her even stronger. Now, Roccia also buffs quite a few other characters. There's the likes of Ling Yang, Encore, Havoc Rover, and Dungeon, but with that being said, she's definitely an upgrade to the insane Sanhua, but Sanhua is just that. She's insane already. Sanhua is a character that everyone has, and while Roccia will do more overall damage, Sanhua will provide a massive 38% basic attack amplification, which is actually a lot. For Dungeon and Havoc Rover, however, Roccia will definitely always be the better option, but for other characters, it might be best just to keep Sanhua. Sure, Roccia will have a little more damage, but is it really worth getting a new character for? While Roccia is fluid and impressive to play, her niche is that of a Havoc damage buffer and a basic attack buffer. Do you really want to give up Sanhua, a perfectly functional quick swap basic attack buffer for Roccia? The decision lies with you, but for most players, the upgrade just isn't worth it. For Camellya, yes, 100% it is a massive buff, but for everyone else, not so much. She does have the passive 20% team-wide attack buff, although this is something that Sanhua actually has in her sequences, so keep that in mind. She is truly a jack-in-the-box of team tactics. Remember, however, to think outside the box when you pull her, because you may find her more useful and fun with other characters. What matters the most is if you're having fun with the character, so if you enjoy her, then definitely pull your box lolly Roccia. Good luck for those pulling, and let Roccia emerge from that magic box and let you win your 50/50s. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching. This has been Void Enigma, and until next time, Enigma out.